Hello, hello, hello. I think I got this working right now. Yeah, I started out with some technical difficulties. It went to some stream from 2 weeks ago for some reason. Hopefully people find their way over here because there was a different stream that was a total failure, and now I've gone back to the one that's working, so I had to delete the other one, come back here. Kind of a weird mess. I have no idea how it happened. I'd be interested to know if anyone's in here, if over the weekend they saw my channel actually went live on its own. I got an email at like 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday night that my channel was live. And I always get an email when my channel goes live, which I've always kind of made fun of. I'm like, why do I need an email to tell me my channel's live? Obviously, I should know that. Well, it came in handy because when I got one at, like I said, sometime after 3 a.m., I was like, huh, that's weird. But I went back to bed thinking it was just some, random error. And then I wake up in the morning and I was over at Aaron's house. I wasn't here. Me and Aaron both we go to YouTube on our phones and we're like, yeah, there's a stream. And it's just, it just said my Canon app. I have no idea how that happened. There was nothing in the scheduled streams. And so when I tried to go live tonight, it was doing that same weird thing. So I don't know if I got hacked. I changed the stream key. Who knows? Maybe one of those Nazis from the last time hacked us. Yeah, unfortunately I'm hoping that people find their way over here because I'm not sure how that would look on YouTube. There were definitely two different things. The one I had scheduled to come on all day, which I had to just go back and delete, and this stream that's actually working now. So confusing sometimes. And like I've said since the beginning, the reason I do this stuff is so these mistakes happen when I'm live streaming on YouTube for fun and not when I would actually be doing this for a client. So, yep, something to look into and figure out. Huh. Looks like the audio is good. Looks like the video looks good. Ben is drinking an epic SOB coffee stout. Huh. I've got a North High. Let me get my software up here. I can't tell what let's get that focus. Nope. No, not going to give me a focus. Well, there's a blurry can of North High. Come on. Nope. Nothing. Weird. It's not my night. Yeah. But yeah, this is North High's the Final Countdown Double IPA. It's decent. I've had this one before. It kind of has a slightly weird aftertaste. It's very strong at 9.3. Let me look in. I want to see if anyone messaged over on Instagram because that's where I always post about the streams. Well, good. Well. Hi, Broadford. Sounds good, looks good. Good. Yeah, it's got this very, almost like Miami Vice 80s vibe going on there. I'm determined to get this camera to focus. If I get my face out of it, it's one of those nights. Stuff's just not going to work out for me. Whatever. When I was testing, even before having stream problems, my camera wouldn't connect to the computer earlier tonight. Just, I always do at 8 o'clock, I'll plug everything in, check it out, be like, everything on the software looks good. And then, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Oh, yeah, Europe reference to the song The Final Countdown. That would make total sense. Let's see what the description: Idaho 7 hops, dank pungent double IPA with enough thrust to take you to another world. Safe travels, and don't forget to share your beer with the Venusians. What is that supposed to mean? Is that a Europe? Is that also a Europe reference? It's actually like an embossed label too. It's actually interesting kind of. think that would be on purpose. Does the camera stay focused if I move back? It's just like fixed, huh? It's interesting with this camera, having gone from a DSLR my whole life to a mirrorless. Even today I was doing some shots somewhere, and all of a sudden the way the camera was focusing was throwing me off, and I turned it off and changed modes, and then all of a sudden it went back to the way it was. But I'm still getting used to this idea of this, like, basically a computer with a lens instead of more of a physical camera with a mirror and stuff like that. It's just a very different experience. When I know what I'm doing and I have it working right, it's amazing. But sometimes I must have pressed something in a menu and get it messed up, and I have to remind myself I have preset modes and go back and be like, okay, you dealt with this by reading through the manual and you have it set up a way so you know how it's going to work. But once in a while, like right now, I must have pressed something where the camera is somehow on fixed focus, even though literally on the side of the lens it says it's in autofocus, and I have no idea why. When I touch the shutter button, it's not changing the focus, it's not kicking the camera on. No, it doesn't make any sense to me. Hey, what's up, C. Stanton? All is well, as well as it can be. Lots of technical difficulties for me tonight, but besides that, that's pretty minor, I think. Yeah, back upstairs. If some of the people that haven't been around for a while, I've been doing almost all the streams from down in the basement in the shop. Tonight I just didn't have the time. I was working all day, and then I have a bunch. So over the next 2 days, I have a whole young professional group coming to get their portraits, but they're all scheduled, so people will only ever be here one at a time. I would normally do like these portraits for them at their yearly retreat. But since like everything else is going to be virtual, they still wanted to offer their new members or all their members a chance to get a headshot. So I have a session tomorrow from 9 to 1, and then from 4 to 8. So, and then 15-minute increments, people will be coming by in the next 2 days. So I had to get the studio over here is where I do the portrait setup for that. And I had some shoots today, and I had a bunch of videos to edit for professional stuff. And yeah, so I was like, the thought of getting everything set up with my laptop in the basement and trying to get back into working on that look and researching the Campy group set to know what I was doing a little bit more than Thursday, it just was not going to happen. The birthday boy. So the birthday boy from our, the last video I posted, that's our friend Brad. I think he's in a few of my riding videos, of course, none lately. They're almost all solo. But yeah, he did Ohioerie with us. Usually rides on Wednesdays with our group ride. So he does computer systems for a hospital, and I think I talked about him on Thursday too. He's going to help me build my new PC because that's what he does for a living, is computers. But yeah, I was actually even thinking, I'm like, should I have him come over or even like Zoom him in and do it like a live stream, because he's going to give me all the advice. I know what I want it to do, and I know like some of the stuff, but he actually knows how to do it. So yeah, it was his birthday. We haven't hung out for, I don't know, a long time, but usually, me, him, Aaron, and Ben hang out a lot, but he kind of, he's got some of his own, he's been doing some group rides, and he works at a hospital, so we've kind of haven't been hanging out like on Christmas and New Year's, and we would love to have him over, and we're like, is that one step outside of the bubble, the weird kind of decisions you have to make in these times. But it was nice enough on Sunday that we were able to be outside all day. We went and had brunch at a brewery and sat on the patio, and then we rode to the train bridge we always hang out at, that you could see in the last few videos, or a bunch of my videos, and had some outside beers there. And then we went over to our friend brewery, Kenny, his beer I drink, the Crawlers have on the show often, his brewery, Missing Falls, and he actually had like a little propane fire pit we were able to sit around, so it was nice. Thanks, Roger. Yeah, the shirt, this is so when I had the other ones made, this is the new one I had made. So the other ones I did all, I think, with black or gray and white. And so this is almost the same logo. Instead of having the bike up in the factory, it's kind of a different font. I just put this up in the shop. It's linked below if you're interested. But I have it in, yeah, I think I did a bunch of like bright colors because everything I like is always black and gray. So I figured I'll use this slightly different logo and do it like, I think there's, there's red, there's blue, there's yellow. And you could also get it in, there's a few options for the t-shirts. I don't put the cheap ones on there. I only like the ones that have like the nice fit and they're like the more soft cotton like this. And then there's also some of the pouches, accessory pouches and stuff like that with the logo. So yeah, I think this one looks really cool. I think I still like the other one a little better with the bike in the factory, but this one's kind of cool. So I figured to differentiate it, do different colors on the shirts too. I was wondering, I talked about this when I first came out, talking about the technical difficulties. Did anyone who's here see that my channel had gone live in the middle of the night on Saturday and then into Sunday morning? Like, it blows my mind. I can't figure out how it happened. I got back here, both my laptops off in the basement. This computer's off up here. And so, but I opened up YouTube and, there it is. It used a thumbnail from the evening routine number 16 in the whole description. But all it ever showed was the Canon app, not connected, which didn't make sense to me either because it shows that screen from the streaming software, which wasn't open. But I clicked end stream and then there was like a 6-hour stream that I think it showed at least 45 people at some point it tuned into. Oh, you got a notice from it? Yeah. Yeah, you wonder what was going on with that? Yeah, I cannot wrap my head around how that can happen. Like I said, unless someone somehow got my stream key and turned it on, but even that is just weird because why would it show the screen from my computer? And I told Aaron when I was heading home, I'm like, am I going to get home and there's going to be someone sitting in the basement trying to figure out how to get my cameras to work? I actually don't leave home without the R5. It was such an investment. Like if I'm going to stay at Aaron's, I bring it with me. Or I always bring one with me, my last camera, the 5D4. It's just like this extra piece of security in me that my two good cameras are never in the same place unless I'm with them. But yeah, such a strange thing to happen. I mean, I can't even as some kind of glitch, And like I said, if I scheduled the stream on accident, it would show up in the list of scheduled streams to me and I would have seen that and been like, what's this? There's nothing there, So ghosts. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Gary? Oh, William, you saw it too? Yeah, it's such a weird... Yeah, that Alec Jones. Yeah, I mean... You would think getting hacked is the only thing, but, I guess if you get someone's stream key, you could do that, but then they would have actually been able to control the stream if they wanted to. So say someone was going to be malicious, you think they would put up some kind of offensive, even just screenshot or whatever they wanted, which they didn't. But if my password somehow got hacked, Google stuff is all the same. YouTube is Google, it's all the same. That means my email could have been hacked and all that kind of stuff, and I've had no problems with anything else. So yeah, one of those, yeah, I think it'll probably always be a mystery unless, like you said, an industrial ghost. Yeah. My dad, Uncle Larry screwing with me. Yeah. One of the things with the streams and this YouTube channel, I was wondering if anyone, Canon advertising their new software, Troy says, maybe. The one thing I was going to bring up and wonder if anyone was interested in doing or has ever messed with is Discord. I use it for Pathless Pedaled has a Discord, what they call a server, and Terry Berenson for his channel has one. And so basically, the way I think gamers always had used it would be because there's live chats involved, so you could use audio, and I know people on Zwift use it, so like people could actually talk while they're on Zwift, and gamers use it to talk to each other. But for the purposes of something like this, it works really well as like a message board. And so since I'm already on there, I set one up. I put a link in the description. But one thing I thought could be cool is it could just be a way to share, like, so we could actually see what each other, like everyone else, rides. Or if we're having a discussion here, this live chat, as I've said a million times, doesn't stick with the video. I wish it did, like how Facebook Live does. If you go back and watch, you could see the comments, which make these make way more sense after the fact. But basically, you know, they call like my thing a server, and then down the side here you have just a number of different like topics, what they call channels you could put in. So like share vid, I threw in a couple of mine, but then last week we were talking about full suspension mountain bikes, and so here, like I linked one of Terry's videos that he just wrote out in Sedona, where to me that's where it'd be totally worth having that. And then like bike pics, people could throw in their pictures of bikes, and then if they do, I can monitor this while we're streaming, and I could, you know, show everybody else, or but even at any time. Drink pics, since we're always talking about what we're drinking, that drink DR. And then, you know, I made a meetup thing, so when maybe things mellow out a little bit, we could get into that. And I did put a link here to the registration for Road Apple Roubaix, a race, gravel ride in March. It's the Fondo style, so it's not really a race, but of course, like everything else, people race it. I think me and Ben and Aaron are going to sign up. We were talking to our friends Brad and Ryan, who were in the last video. They were talking about doing it. Like everything else, I hate even have to say it. It's obviously going to be different. It's not going to have the same kind of fun after party, but so again, this would be a spot where we could all share this kind of stuff and see if we want to get together. Discord is an app, you know, like anything else, but you could just use it as a browser like this. And then, like I said, it's basically a glorified message board. And then like stream updates. So now, you know, I'm pretty consistent with the Tuesday and Thursday at 9, but, you know, as we get into summer and stuff like that, if it changes, and then I put like a little photo one here. And just as an example, I threw in a blog I did about using vintage lenses on my new camera. So just an idea. If anyone's interested, jump over there. I think I could put and Erin's the only one in here so far. I had her go check it out. I'm like, I can't remember what it's like to sign up. And she's like, yeah, just need your email and a password. Super simple. But the other communities I'm in, like I said, for Pathless Pedals channel and Terry's channel, they're fun. You know, it's kind of a Pathless Pedal, tons of good information about gravel riding and even selling stuff to each other and all that kind of stuff. So if anyone's interested, jump over there. I will. I'll throw a link in the chat right now. But yeah, like I said, I'm there anyways. So if people jump in, I think it would be a cool way to communicate with each other, better than trying Instagram, or like I said, these live chats go away over time, so they don't really do us any good. Just a thought. If you're interested, check it out. It's not like some spammy thing. I don't even have it. I don't know if you could. I don't even have it. It doesn't give me even any email notifications. It's just a tab I leave open there in the day and check in with those other communities once in a while. And it'd be cool to have a way to better share stuff we talk about here. So Roger says he's waiting on the video showing what my buddies ride. Yeah, I remember you commenting that, and like I said, it's just besides that ride we did for my friend's birthday on Sunday, really just haven't been doing that. So I love that idea. I think it's a great idea, kind of like the Dustin Klein tell me about your bike, but maybe doing a deeper dive like this. I have a playlist of my bikes, about halfway through them. It'd be cool to have another one of my friends' bikes and what they ride. You know, Ben with his Gorilla Monsoon and his Fixie and all that stuff. I like that idea. It'll probably have to be when enough people are vaccinated or herd immunity or whatever these things that I'm so tired of talking about. Ben from Columbus said you don't use it, but some of your gamer friends talk about it. Yeah. Glad I spelled meat correctly. Yeah. Yeah, it's so, like, and below that text thing, so, like, yeah, what your gamer friends probably use it for would be, if you click to voice channels, you don't even have to, if you have headsets hooked up, it automatically is a room of chatting, and you could set up more rooms down there. Mine just has the one. When I'm up here, I don't even, unless I'm streaming live, I don't even have the audio on a cam. I don't even have a webcam hooked up to this computer. But so that's what people use it for on that kind of stuff. But oh, Ben's in there. Hey, Ben. So Yeah, I don't know. It could be cool. Like even right now, so while we're all chatting, if anyone threw like, bike pics or drink pics in there or whatever, they could, then I'd be able to like screen share and throw it up there. So, like, you know, maybe as if the channel keeps growing, it'll make a little more sense then. I think though, what I was saying is, Taryn, the reason that, like I said, I use it already, but the motivating factor too was the idea that we have talked about meeting up. Like this would be the perfect platform to plan that kind of stuff because it keeps stuff threaded. So it's not like just an Instagram chat that, gets so thrown off and stuff like that. I mean, Instagram seems to me to be the most universal platform that all my friends ride are used now, and most people I know. Whereas, Facebook has fallen a little more out of favor, and I know a lot of people don't use it anymore. So, yeah, how do I let me? Oh, cool! I see a couple of you guys already jumped in. That's awesome. Yeah. And so in the share a vid one too, like so there's some people online that we trade bike videos back and forth. So it doesn't, if you make one, definitely share it. But anything cool, any cycling related or, photography even related stuff, throw it in there so we could all check it out and then chat about it. But that's what me and Aaron have been doing a lot on the weekends is just having a fire and, you know, watching different cycling videos and stuff like that. The UI threw me off a little bit too. That's why I'm like, I should pull this up and go through it. When I first got on, either through Terry or Pathless Pedaled, I can't remember, but I'm like, what is going on here? But it's, like I said, glorified message board if you use it in this kind of manner. So, and then also, so you could tell like it goes into the, whatever, like the brighter white color will be if there's a new message in there, it'll show it like that. It also shows it like that if you're on it. But since you guys have jumped in, it's showing the just chatting as the welcome page light up. But if someone were to show a new bike pic, it would show up. And then you could also directly respond to people when you mouse over. I got my name, so I'll do it a little higher over here on the edge. So you got the reaction, edit, and then if it's someone's comment, you could directly reply to them. So it will thread the comments, which is nice. That's a problem. Like YouTube comments are such a mess because they don't, it's always a one-to-one conversation. So if one of you comments, I'll comment back, but there's never like, people don't really see other comments. I don't know if I'm sure you guys are familiar that YouTube commenting is just not, they've tried to improve it a little, but it's still kind of a mess and it's not just the best way to show stuff, and you can't directly put pictures or anything like that. It always has to be a link to something. So it's like, hey, show me a picture of the bike you're talking about. YouTube comments aren't going to work for that, or even the live chat. So yeah, no Facebook here. Yeah, see, people don't use it anymore. You're around since, okay, so Roger says we need to come to the southwest part of the state, 20 miles north of Dayton. 20 miles. I actually have a map up on the screen too, because I was looking at, let's see, when we do Ohioerie last year, we jumped over to Springfield. Oh, that's south of, is that south of, oh, it's between Dayton and Columbus. There's a bike path that goes north of Dayton, right? A gravel trail that goes all the way up to Troy, I believe. The guy at the bike shop was telling us about that. East of Springfield. St. Paris. Huh. I've talked about it on here, but me and Aaron have gone to Dayton and cruised around some of the bike paths, which were great. Rode out to Wright Patterson and kept going out to the big dam that's out there. From Springfield last year, I don't know how. Yeah, we went south through Cedarville and yeah. Oh no, we went down to Xenia. That's right, Yellow Springs and Xenia would have been the way we went. a little. Oh, so okay. Oh, so between Urbana and Piqua. Yeah, when we got to Yellow Springs, Ben might remember. I think it might have been a Sunday. So, unfortunately, a lot of stuff was closed. Like right downtown, the brewery, which we were hoping to go to, was closed. Then I think the actual I think there's a Yellow Springs brewery on the bike path right on your way into town. I think they were closed too. Where's the Yellow Springs? I'm surprised that I was really surprised that having been to Springfield, I had heard of it, but that's a bigger city than I expected it to be. With pretty downtown and said cool bike shop. We went to that old I think it might have been an old train station that was converted into. There was a little restaurant in there where we had brunch and stuff like that. I just was really surprised that I didn't really. Springfield wasn't really on my radar. I knew it existed, but yeah, we stayed at Buck Creek State Park because I was really impressed. We had we were just there and rode in the morning for our breakfast, like I said, brunch, and we're pretty impressed with the city. It was kind of cool, and I just said just had never. It wasn't really on my radar as an Ohioan, but I think it's got to be equal to the size of cities like Mansfield and stuff like that, maybe even a little bigger. Oh yeah, Yellow Springs Brewing right there on the Little Miami Scenic Trail. Yeah, they were closed, and what was the one right down? There was another one right downtown, and the bike shop was closed too, and we were worried about our friend Brad's bike at that point. And then I think he's vegan, and there was a vegan restaurant he really wanted to go to, and it was closed in Yellow Springs. We still ended up getting good sandwiches somewhere. Was it maybe the Sunrise? Somewhere around there. Or maybe the Winds, something like that. Mother Stewart's is the other brewery. Okay. Yeah, and you said the old train station, so up in my friend Brad, who we picked up, not the Brad whose birthday it was, but when we did Ohioerie, we stayed at his place in Columbus, and then what would that have been? We rode out to Buck Creek State Park from there. Yeah, yeah, and then into Springfield in the morning. He did an overnighter then after that, so that was his first like bike touring trip, and then later in the summer he rode from Columbus to Yellow Springs and stayed there and back. Stayed there and went back. Why am I not seeing Mothers on there? They didn't pay Google enough. It's not that big of a city. It also looks different to me from above. We were only riding our bikes around, but still, there's only. thought it'd be right there on that corner. No. Plus, we also rode all around as everything was closed and back and forth to try and find where we were, wanted to go. But Ben, what was the name of the place where the lady ordered the dirty banana and we were cracking up? Yeah, you're saying Mother Stewart's is in Springfield. Sorry, I'm getting everything. Yeah, I'm getting everything mixed up. It's between Springfield and Yellow Springs. I'm just trying to think of the cafe we went to, and maybe it was Wynn's, because it was towards the end of a street like that. That looks like where we changed our bikes up. So. Yeah, Springfield in that old train station, it was so cool because I don't even remember if we were getting coffee. Like I said, it was morning and stuff like that. And Aaron had mentioned how, I think it was probably that brewery. Tim was like, oh, it's too early to get local beers, unfortunately. So we're sitting there having breakfast, and the guy who took our order comes over with the beer. He's like, if you're in town, you got to try a local beer. And I think it probably would have been from there. There it is right there. Yeah. Which is really cool. You're just like, when you go to a place and someone's that nice, it's awesome. Yeah, then we, excuse me. Yeah, right downtown there was that big mural with all the flowers too and stuff, and we were over in that area. And it looked like there was a good restaurant over there. That must have been over in this area. Yeah. Did we put Nikio to sleep? The Green Canteen. Yeah, it was kind of like a juice place. Anyways. Yeah, it's cool you guys are from, everyone's familiar with these areas. Like I said, between Yellow Springs, like I knew Yellow Springs Brewing, but in Springfield, two places that I thought were awesome that I had just knew nothing about. Actually, like I said, when me and Aaron were in Dayton, we really enjoyed being in Dayton too. I know Dayton's had some, like other places, rough times, but yeah, there was one strip with just a bunch of great restaurants and bars that we went to and really enjoyed. And like I said, the bike path going, almost every direction out of Dayton, right? Have I ever been to Detroit? I've been to Detroit 3 times now. I went up to see a Stroke show. I think it was for their second record. So that would have been in like 02, 03. And then I went back with actually the young professional group that'll be coming to the studio tomorrow to get their headshot to document a trip they were taking. And so that would have been only like 4 or 5 years ago, and I could not believe the change in the downtown areas and some of the, areas. Because when we were first there, we were at like the Fox Theater or something, and it was like, I remember it was just like those 2 blocks and the casino block had activity, and then it was like, felt like there was nothing else going on. And then to go back there and go to all these great places, it's been, totally different. And Detroit, I love going and checking out. I mean, I know how expansive Detroit is, and it still has areas that haven't quite come back. But yeah, the beautiful, like, man, the skyscrapers down there and all that stuff. I haven't ridden bikes around Detroit. I did rent one of the city bikes when I was there when we were done with all the official programming stuff, and used it to get around because I hit Jolly Pumpkin Brewer, their Detroit brewery. another tiny Motor City Brewing, which was really cool place, like a really small, like felt like a neighborhood bar, and got in a good conversation with the bartender a lot about Detroit and what's been happening. And yeah, I've been to the market and whatever the what do they call it? The market in Detroit is so cool in the market area. Oh, Devil Wind, yeah. Devil Wind we went to both years, and both years, right? It was the only time that it rained while we were out. So on the Ohioerie, spending 5 days riding from here in Cuyahoga Falls, Akron area, all the way to Cincinnati. Both times when we got to Xenia, it started raining, and that's where we ducked in and ate food. Yeah, we got the one time it was 2 years ago. It was food truck food. Did we get food there this year? I'm trying to remember now. I think there wasn't. Did we order food from somewhere else and get it brought over? Yeah, Devil Wind. We've amazingly every time we go to Devil Wind, there's a Devil Wind. Yeah, last year he actually had us bring our bikes into the back of the brewery so they didn't have to sit outside. The year before, they were actually out there just getting hammered in the rain. But yeah, we waited out the rain both 2 years in a row at Devil Wind and had no other, didn't get wet at any other point of the trip. Really coincidental. Yeah. So Xenia too is also, I've kind of wanted to take more of it in, but every time, like this year, we were racing into town. We could see, we stopped and looked at the radar, I think like, Ben would remember better than me, but maybe like 5 miles away from Xenia. We were right on the edge, and we were just like, let's hot tail it to Xenia and get dinner and get to that brewery. And that's what we did. We just like got there, like pulled our bikes in, and it just like started pouring. The year before we were in there eating, and then it started raining when we were there. Then we just ended up getting like 2 or 3 more beers and sticking around waiting for the rain to let up. And I think we left into like a drizzle. Trying to we were going from Xenia. Our camp spot was at so let's see, Xenia is right here, and our camp spot was Cedar Creek State Park. So yeah, when you're riding the Ohioerie Trail, once you get to Xenia, everything starts getting pretty again. With the detour we took to Springfield and Yellow Springs, it was nice. But the first year coming from between London and Xenia, I think we talked about this before, because I think Ben from Columbus was talking about it. It was kind of a brutal rail trail that is just straight and flat as long as you could see in either direction. So it just can get very, very tedious. William said, if I ever come back, bring a bike. I could show you around Detroit by bike. I would. I do want to get back, and I want to go back to, 'cause like I said, the last time was on, someone else's time, and I was working. Still had a really good time because, usually all the stuff ends at like 6, and I enjoy the working stuff too, because with this young professional group, you're getting to go around and talk to interesting foundations, and they're setting up, checking out local businesses and stuff. But yeah, I really want to get back on my own, like where I get to explore it on my own. That would be so great to come up and see you. I'm definitely all about that. If summer or fall is a chance when things are a little more normal, I would totally be into that. Roger says name for the '74 tornado. Yeah, Ben for some reason like knew the history. I remember when we got there, but then they also have all the cool pictures in the brewery and the newspaper articles over in Xenia. Dude, as Ben from Columbus just said, mental strength training. There is nothing more that is mental strength training than riding from London to Xenia. It is brutal, and I think the first year, we didn't, like I said, we kind of avoided it intentionally last year, but the first year, yeah, it was like 90 degrees, I think like 92, and yeah, like I said, you get out there and it's just, you see the telephone poles, like just like cartoon style, like, Roadrunner looking down the the narrow, path, and you look back and it looks exactly the same as far as you can see. And I guess if you're just going for a day ride, right, and you know what you're in for, it'd be great just to go flat out, man. That would be the training for a time trial path right there. But even with the three of us the first year, I remember we all started to kind of lose our minds a little bit. But Grand Rapids, oh yeah, you got a lot of buddies up there, and the riding is epic. Yeah, I was looking when we were looking to do trying to think. Me and Aaron were looking to plan like was that this year? I can't remember. Just like a late summer trip, and I can't remember where we ended up. What did we? Oh, that maybe it's when we ended up doing the Erie Trail in New York, Buffalo to Rochester. Kind of looking around the Michigan area and wondering what we could connect with bike paths. To do like an overnighter we were looking for, not just like going to one town and riding around. I've been to Ann Arbor and yeah, that town next to it, Ypsilanti. The guy I bought the studio from, his niece lives in Ann Arbor, and we went up there to help her with stuff. Again, I didn't ride bikes around, just wandered. We'd help them out during the day fixing up their new house, and then in the evenings went to really great brewery there too. One of the best I've ever been to. But yeah, but in Michigan I wasn't finding like close enough to how much time we wanted to spend a trail to really ride. Ben says, honestly, it's really just the 10 miles from South Charleston to Cedarville. Yeah, that's definitely the roughest part. Large Mart says, Michigan Off-Road Expedition. Oh, nice. You linked it? Let's check it out. Said I'd monitor that, and being me, I already forgot. Oh, you guys are already linking everything. Totally fine. We got Ben drinking his SOB. Oh, Son of a Baptist. That's right. I've never seen it in a can like that, though. Oh, wow. Look at that. Oh, that's a cool setup. Is that a vintage mountain bike converted to a drop bar bike? Love that color Brook saddle too. Yeah, Discord is an app too. Yeah, you could download it from either Android or the iPhone, whatever iPhone store, iTunes. Yeah. Oh, so Ben's showing to Canteen. That's where we were talking about in Yellow Springs that we ended up eating. Where there was a lady with a British accent who said dirty banana about 100 times. And we couldn't stop laughing. Michigan Off-Road is a 1,050-mile off-road bikepacking route through the great state of Michigan. Wow. Maybe I wasn't looking at something like this talking to Erin because she was still only riding her road bike last year, but it's, yeah. Lower Peninsula is a little closer, so let's. Patrick says converted to drop bar single speed. Nice. Yeah, yeah, that's sweet. Oh, I wanted to go to the map. Oh, that's cool. It gives you the percentage of how much is paved, how much is single track, and how much is dirt. This is why it's going to be so awesome that Erin's getting that Bombora hooked up. So now we have this option because it's something we didn't consider. And then she borrowed Ben's gravel bike a couple times this summer, so she's gotten a little bit acquainted with that kind of riding. There we go. There's the maps. Ben, does any? Well, so no, this would be different because I was thinking that race Otis wanted to do a few years ago, which was across Michigan, which was a gravel route. I know that it was a 200-mile ride. Where's my full screen option? Yeah, that could be a cool. Definitely, that's definitely something worth doing. Oh, there we go. The full route. Oh yeah, that's definitely something worth checking out. And so, to where they're showing it, let's see, Crooked Lake, Cleveland. So Toledo for us is about what, 2 hours? So that looks like what, about a 3.5 hour trip maybe from here to the southernmost point. Good night, Roger. Oh, sea to sea, yeah. There's the or lake to lake, yeah. Whatever. I'm trying to. There was a group that was trying to plan for it, and then just didn't end up getting the training they needed to get a ride like that in an amount of time that they would have had to do it. But yeah, it is something like sea to sea. Let's see what this. Pokagon State Park. Pokagon State Park. 3 hours and 20 minutes by car to get to the southern point. So yeah, not too bad. Coast to coast. Yep, coast to coast. Yeah, this looks really cool. I've never been to the Upper Peninsula at all. I've never even been up to like. I've always been interested in checking out like the Traverse City area and all the sand dunes up there in Michigan. There's a ton. I know there's a ton of good breweries up that way too. My parents have gone up. They brought back a bunch of great bottles. I have a number of friends who have been up that way. So do you cross? Yeah, you must. You have to cross the bridge. It'd be the only way to go. Right? Is that only a freeway bridge? You have to take a ferry? Pokemon State Park. That's how I remember stuff in my head, is phonetically saying out loud so I could spell it. Yeah, UP is amazing. Yeah, I always see awesome photos. It's something I definitely want to check out at some point. Yeah. You guys know the said your great grandparents, Mackinac Bridge, or you could probably catch a ferry. Your great grandparents from your dad's side is from the UP. Yeah. You guys know how Michigan got the UP, right? How the old maps had showed there were two maps, and one showed Toledo being in Ohio, and one showed it being in Michigan. And Ohio and Michigan ended up actually lining up troops, and we're going to fight over Toledo. And eventually, Congress drew the map in Ohio's favor, giving Ohio Toledo, and to satisfy Michigan, they gave Michigan the Upper Peninsula. So, get some of my nerdy history stuff in for the evening. Yeah, that's hey Sean. Yeah, that's what I was asking. If you could cycle across that, or if you have to take a ferry. Because it's definitely a freeway. It shows that it's 75. See what it looks like on the satellite. Can I switch this to satellite view? Yeah, because it doesn't show the trail going over there. If it's a ferry, that'd be fine too, because that'd be pretty cool. But here we go. Spell that right. Oh, I keep saying Mackinac. It's pronounced Mackinac, right? You don't pronounce the C. Or have I just said the wrong thing my whole life? Bicycles are not allowed to cross the bridge on their own. They will transport you and your bike across for $2 per bike in their vehicle. Who's they? It doesn't look like you're ever allowed to ride across the bridge. Now during COVID, you can't even trail to cross the bridge. Pronounced Mackinac. Okay, I've always thought that, but I've never tried to spell Mackinac before. So then all of a sudden I saw it. I'm like, am I an idiot that doesn't never realize that? So, there was another question in there. The mileage on that ride, the full one that I have up, is actually you're talking about the one Ben said, it's 1,050 for that whole entire route. But what he had linked in the Discord broke it up by a number of segments that you could go through. Just need to figure out who they are. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go back to that link on I'm sure. Yeah, so these are broken up in like slightly over century rides on the website. Look how cool that looks. That's a big dig. It'd be fun to try and knock it out in one go. Set aside a month. Yeah, because well, what? So at 14, my brain just went dead. 10,000, 50 a day, 20 days. If you're doing something like that too, I could assume you'd want to be stopping and taking it all in. Yeah, so Ohioerie last year, our version of that, adding in Springfield, Yellow Springs route, was my longest bike tour. So that would put it at, it was still shy of 400 though. It's actually not just about how much I want to, I mean, I would totally go and do something like that, but it's about being able to afford that amount of time off, not about not feeling like I'm capable of riding that far or wanting to ride that far. Oh, you have a friend who rode that entire thing? Nice. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, by Matt Acker. Yeah, he is the one who made the route. Oh, wait, I don't have it up there. Yeah, I definitely want to ride some of that. Yeah, this is the for summer wise. Where am I? Get this back. This is the other thing I was thinking of. This is a 500 mile route from Buffalo to New York City. But also considered maybe starting in, because Buffalo is not that far for us to get started, and then you'd be able to take a train back to wherever we parked, or maybe doing it from Rochester and shortening it up and spending some time in New York City. This route is just what I typed, what Google pulled up, but I've watched some videos on people who actually ride a way along the Hudson, which looks much cooler. That is would be gravelly, and then where was, yeah. Then there's this spot, which is 44 miles from New York City, this little peninsula in the Hudson, which I thought would be a really cool place to stay. And it looks like there's some really cool parkland up right around it, this reservoir up here. But I thought that'd be cool to camp here and then, you know, ride down along the Hudson into New York City the next day. If you're ever in New York, you could ride all the way along Once you get here, this is all bike path on the outside of the island, the outside of Manhattan. Me and Aaron rode that when we went to New York a couple summers ago. Rode up into the Bronx. Oh yeah, it shows up because I went there. The Bronx, rode over to the Bronx Beer Hall. She jumped on the subway and went home, and then I cruised around the Bronx, and then across Randall's Island, and then all through Midtown and everything. Had a blast just riding around the city, pretending I was a New York City bike messenger, but which would not have suited her. But that's one option I'm considering for the summer. I think it'd be a fun, longer trip, but we were discussing this a little bit on Sunday when we all got together. I love doing Ohioerie, and I'm not against doing that again as well. But also an idea of mixing it up, doing something like that route in Michigan or something like this would be cool. The nice thing about doing Ohioerie for us is the logistics are so easy because we could ride our bikes out of our door. So where did I get the other thing I was thinking, my favorite part of Ohioerie is actually the first day we do, where we ride to you ride down to Massillon and you go across to Dalton, and most of that is bike trail, and then you hit these beautiful roads through Amish country. They're nice and fun and a little bit windy, and then you get back on a bike path for a while, and then what we do is we stop in Millersburg, or what we've done. There's a brewery there. We get dinner and drinks, and then we have camped at this really cool kind of campground that must just be someone's property over here. Yeah, Turkey Hollow. There's a swimming pond and stuff like that. So I was thinking maybe that's just because that's like roughly 74 miles. So maybe just doing that as an overnighter and then doing something completely different for our big trip this year. Yeah, no Danny tonight. He's been, man, the weather where Danny's been, ooh, something fell over in here. Has been, looks pretty tough. If you guys follow him on Instagram, he's been riding out in the snow and cold and ice. And they even had a fire outdoors, and it looked like it must have been just in the 20s, him and his friends. Cincy to DC and taking the train back. So would you do Ohioerie up and then over to Pittsburgh and do the Gap Trail CNO obviously? Or would you take a more direct route from Cincy? Yeah, because from Cincinnati I think it'd probably still make the most sense to do Ohioerie because that's still getting you in that direction. It wouldn't even get you that much, no. Because Ben rode from here to Pittsburgh and back, but I know they had to hit a couple roads they weren't crazy about. But yeah, but once you're in Pittsburgh, it's trail all the way to DC. And as I've said before, me and Aaron have done Pittsburgh to Cumberland, but we didn't do the CNO, so we just did that section. Little Miami bike route to 50, okay. Yeah, I talked to Danny a couple times this week too, because we're working on a project with some of his artwork that I think will be cool. So. Let's clear this. U.S. bike route 50. 607 miles. That's not as much as I would think. And I'm getting, of course, your route would be, this is just what Google's throwing up as the bike route, but. Seems like it would be so much farther, but I guess that isn't. How many days were you thinking of? How many days do you think you would spend to do that route? That'd be cool, yeah. Can't remember if I talked about this on here, but there's a new trail, and it's kind of like Ohioerie. It's not really a trail; it's a route, but they're calling the Industrial Heartland Trail that takes in Pittsburgh and parts of Ohio and parts of West Virginia. And they want someone. They're hiring. They put out an RFP, so they're hiring someone to photograph it. And so I applied to be the guy. They want drone footage, photography, video footage. So Erin helped me write the grant type stuff that she knows how to do, and then I put together a portfolio of my cycling stuff. So it would be a whole year long project. So I'm hoping I get that, because it'd be so cool, because one, I would go and do their work, what they needed, and they set it up where I'd have volunteers to be on bikes and stuff like that. And then I would plan for an extra day of making my YouTube videos and going for bike rides, the day after that. But I'm really hoping that works out. I'm trying to imagine another photographer who has as strong of a portfolio on cycling stuff as I do. I think so I built like a little Squarespace website to send as my portfolio instead of just my regular one that would be more all over the place. 2 weeks? Yeah, you don't want to race doing something. I wouldn't want to race doing something like that. You want to take your time and stop when you want to. That's how we tour when we do Ohioerie. It's like, if you're tired, find a good spot to pull over and have a drink and chill out or eat or sit down, whatever. Or if you see something cool you want to stop and take a picture of, do it, When we do Ohioerie, our longest day is the second day, getting from that spot in Millersburg to Columbus, because we stayed with Brad both times, and that's like a higher 90 mile day. But when we did Buffalo to Rochester and back, we did back-to-back centuries. But even that, when you have all day to do it and you're not racing, isn't really that hard. I mean, I wouldn't want to do 6 in a row and try and get there in 6 days. That'd be ridiculous. But yeah, even getting it to like 70, 80 a day is totally doable with still time to enjoy yourself and check out, the cities and everything along the way. The Gap Trail is it's a pretty easy ride. I mean, obviously you do climb up to the Cumberland Gap, but it's just all, we came back that way, but it's still rail grade. Nothing's ever that exhausting, and the surface is pretty good, especially in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, it's like the towpath around here. It's very easy to ride, but Erin did it on her Surly pace around 32s the whole thing. So even leaving Cumberland, where it was a little more cindery and a little more washouts, she was still able to, no trouble. And I hear the CNO part can be a little more gnarly, and if you get caught in weather, a gravel bike would be more preferable, especially if it's like gets muddy. The Gap Trail is nice too, because there's a town like roughly every 10 miles, so you're never in wilderness. So if you ever need any supplies or anything like that, everything's around, kind of like Ohioerie. You're never that far from somewhere to stop, Yeah, Pittsburgh and DC. I'm trying to think of there's a woman she was here before me, and so she rents the studio from me now. And she did the CNO Trail, and she said when you're getting to DC, how you kind of come out in the woods and it must be here, I would guess, along the Potomac, and you come in, then all of a sudden you've just been riding in the woods, and then she said the view to DC opens up at some point, and she said that was like the coolest thing. I do want to do that part of the trail, the CNO. I don't know if put together the gap in CNO, and that's another option. Our friend Brad in Columbus, that's one thing he asked us if we'd be interested in doing this summer, doing that instead. Yeah, so that's all park, like along the river, huh? How you're saying for the, you're saying 48th for the CNO, huh? Out of our group, I would be the most underbiked in that situation. I mean, if 'cause I'm on my max on my gravel bike is 42s, I would not want to ride my mountain bike. From what I've heard, if it's dry though, well, if it's dry, I could ride almost anything on 32s. It doesn't mean I'm going to be the most comfortable, but you know, it's possible. But loaded changes things too. But that campground we stop in outside Millersburg is like a brutal gravel climb up to it, and I only put a foot down once last year, and that was mostly because I also had a musette bag full of beer that swung around the front on me. So, all right, Patrick, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, when your bike is heavy. Ben said he almost went down there to ride last Monday. I, yeah, depending on what we do, I would figure out, because I've always toured on my vintage Trek for the longer stuff. If we're, I would need to change my setup a little bit for the rally, but it would be worth it. It's pretty, that bike doesn't have a lot of mounts, but again, my vintage truck doesn't have any mounts, and I've adapted everything to make it work fully loaded. When me and Aaron did the Gap Trail, I actually rode my Roger Riviere, but we weren't fully loaded on that because we did that trip staying at Airbnbs, so we were really only hauling clothes. So we weren't hauling like the full camp setup like we do when we do Ohioerie, which is like, not wilderness stuff, but still bringing everything except your meals. So you're bringing snacks, but you're not bringing all the food you need at the campfire. We'll stop before we camp and get that stuff, or we'll eat somewhere and then just have snacks for breakfast. That Ohio gravel grinders, I want to do. We talked about it last year and didn't end up doing it, but I want to do some more of their routes. Their routes look so cool, and that stuff is not that far from us. Even some of the roads we ride for Black Fork and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, Erin having a gravel bike will help, and she's also hasn't been smoking. I'm not supposed to tell you that, but because in case she fails, she doesn't want anyone to know. But that'll make a difference because typically we ride flatter stuff because even though she's fast, as everyone knows, anyone climbing hills, that smoking is not well suited for that. Just ride the look. Hey, that's what I was saying. I can't believe the look clears 32s, but like Yonda was saying, he was like, that might be early enough carbon that they might have been worried about putting the chainstays too close together. Because the steel bikes from that era, like if they're racy, it's rare for them to fit 32s. Could you imagine trying to load vintage carbon so you have all that worry on top of, it? One of the reasons I stopped touring on the Riviera is because it's a cheaper French bike and it only has like sheet metal dropouts and stuff. I actually put some of those Surly, I don't know, this is recommendation, what do you call them? They're called like tug nuts or something, more made for fixed gear bikes, but it gives that extra stability to the rear. But I decided I should probably stop loading that bike up. It's not made for that. Yeah, I'm hoping things clear up to the level that we can get together and do rides together. Um, like I said in the one video where I just had my mic on my bike and I was cruising around, like just doing overnighters in general, even if it just has to be me and Aaron and Ben. I want to do way more of those summer, even if it means I'm knocking out 4 hours of work in the morning and then just getting out of town to have a fire somewhere for the evening. I want to do that stuff way more. But yeah, I really want to explore more, like William was saying, come up to Detroit and ride around. I totally want to do that. It just has to be a different situation. Like I said, my problem is not my fear of getting sick. It's my fear of having to. I mean, not that I want to be sick. I hate being sick, but even if I'm just exposed and have to quarantine, if I can't work for 2 weeks, I can't get paid for 2 weeks. There's no one. This is a one-man operation over here with my photography business. So if I'm not photographing something, I'm not getting paid. So that's why I've gone back into being way more careful. If you watch my summer videos and even our Ohioerie, I'm hanging out way too close with a lot of people. We're still being careful. We're not like just sitting randomly in bars next to strangers, but I'm someone who has to be a little more careful because 2 weeks without getting paid wouldn't be fun. And I did dip into my savings in the spring when everything first got shut down. So the tug nut, it's made by Surly or QDP's brand that makes niche products, problem solvers. But I think the tug nut was actually Surly branded. But yeah, problem solvers. I think though the tug nut is actually branded Surly, but it's great for that, like a cheap steel vintage bike to add some. So on the other side, there's no derailleur hanger built in, so the derailleur hanger, adds that just an extra, layer of durability to those cheap sheet metal dropouts. But then putting the tug nut on the other side is nice. It just makes it a pain in the ass when I flat on that bike, and on the road you have to deal with getting that thing out and forcing it back into the dropout. And I'm already kind of spreading the dropouts to get, what do I have on that? That's probably just 8-speed because I have top tube shifters on that, the Roger Riviera. Chain tensioner, yeah. Because it's got so basically you're adding the dropout screw and there's two different holes so you could set where it would put the wheel in the dropout. I think Surly's, is making up for single speeds, is that what they mostly exist for? I mean, we were using it for a strengthening thing, but I think the single speed thing is kind of what so you could adjust your, chain tension. Yeah, chain tension, that's what you said. Ride the gravel bike for touring? Yeah, riding my rally for touring would definitely make more sense. Doing something, like Ohioerie, you just don't need it. Like I said, there's one section where we go to a campground that's not even part of the trail. So being on 32s and on my Trek, I really like it. I just like riding that bike. But yeah, the rally would make more sense for doing anything a little different. And I would like to, and I think it was in Ohio Gravel Grinders, I was talking to a guy because my rally, even though it's steel fork, does not have any eyelets or brazons. But companies do make, like, for front racks and front panniers, those adapters, just like I have the rear ones on my Trek. Because I would like to put some of the weight towards the front. On my Trek, I could barely ride with no hands because it's not even technically a touring bike on having too much weight on the back. so it gets a little twitchy in the front. So like Ben rides with front panniers now, and I think that's a way I would like to go. And maybe if I do start doing some more, you know, like with Erin having her bike, if we do start doing some more gravel touring or more, you know, iffy touring, then maybe it would be worth getting another more modern frame. I love having all my vintage stuff and my vintage looks, but at some my I didn't mean vintage look the brand, but like the look of vintage bikes. But at some point, it could make more sense to have something more like an All City or a Surly or a Crust, you know, Salsa to have more of a modern frame that can handle, you know, the setups and the tire clearance and fenders, which especially if we were touring off-road, fenders are something I would want and I don't have because I couldn't put 42s even on the Raleigh if I ran fenders on it. Journeymans, yeah, man. Oh, check this out. Oh yeah, yeah, a few of you guys have those. Yeah, plus something waterproof because I have like for my rear panniers, I have like a cover that goes over them. But like something like roll top like these that are just already waterproof would be nice. As Ben will tell you, Large Marge, I am like so paranoid about my stuff being wet. Well, one, I carry cameras, which, you know, granted, that's worth being paranoid about. But I just hate wet stuff. I don't like being wet. And if I am wet, then I want stuff that I could get dry, you know, real quick. So it's like there's a sign of rain, and I'm like throwing the rain covers on, covering my Brooks saddle, you know, all that, you know. When you said the Journeyman, the best for the bike, they I know at Dirty River they sold those like hotcakes during the pandemic, and I know so many people even who didn't get theirs from Dirty River who have picked up the Journeyman. Yeah, real versatile bike that you could do a lot with. Oh, with those bags, you don't need to run a rack. With the help of the QLS adapter, roll closure can be mounted on forks with eyelets or cage mount intended for this purpose. Huh. Yeah, I'll have to click over and really check that out when. Do they have a picture of how you hook it up here when you're not running an eyelet? Oh, there it is. Oh, interesting. Yeah. And my Raleigh fork is already so scratched up that a little rubbing isn't going to be the end of the world on that. Cool. Get back here. The new Rock Ice waterproof basket bag looks awesome for $80. Sun Tours with hefty liners. If I want anything cages for my fork, you'll send me yours. Oh, nice. The Storm Chaser. I know I ask you the same thing, Ben, but you know names don't stick to me. That's your single speed salsa. Oh, with those you just attach stuff in waterproof sacks. Yeah, that would make sense. And even like the bigger under the saddle bags too. Like one of those would help to put a number of things in my in the Raleigh to carry it, so I wouldn't need to adapt that to any racks. And then my frame bag is perfect because the frame bag is Frost River branded, but it fits my tent poles. So like I don't use the tent bag or anything like that, but so in the frame bag the tent poles fit in there. So that's like the longest length I need, and I'm probably lucky because I ride 60s, you know, that works out for me. I was saying Warbird basically, but aluminum. Yeah. sort of sketchy. Well, you know what we always do? Like, so we're talking about like setting stuff up, without the right mounts. Like even this year for Ohioerie, and we plan like a trip like a week or two before that's just an overnighter. So whatever setup you're going to use before the long tour, always go and do like something shorter so you get like the vibe, so it's not going to ruin a long tour. You've already tested out your gear on something, and things could go wrong at any point. You're never going to be foolproof. But I kind of made a video. I made a video in September talking about this because I felt like, even channels I like Path Less Pedal, they're always talking about new stuff and not expensive stuff, but always new stuff. And I made a video being like, you don't always need that, but just test whatever you're going to do before you get out. And that video has like it's more views than like the rest of my channel combined. So it shows there are people out there who want to know about like, hey, what's an affordable way to try this, or how can I adapt what I already have to make it work? And so I think that's an angle too. Trying stuff like this would make sense to make more videos because people are definitely interested in it, and I think it's kind of an underserved market. The products are there, but it's not what people talk about. No one's going to send you strap-on review cages or ways to modify, hack. I had asked people. So you said you could riv nut the fork, and I had asked people about using riv nuts, and they had talked about how that could affect the strength of things. And again, I was asking probably maybe even before I had my rally, and other people recommended against it. That rally fork is too heavy and would probably be fine being riv nutted. I would think. Strap on what? Yeah, the rally fork is steel. Otis actually, we keep talking about. He has a fork that was warranted that's carbon, which would be nice to put onto the rally just to drop the weight of that bike a little bit. But that would be if I wasn't using it for touring, just using it as I do as like the gravel ride bike. Well, dudes, I think I might call it a night since I have to get up so early. And when I say so early, it's not early at all. It's just early for my lifestyle now. Like, I think I say every time I say so early, I used to work on a farm. I used to get up so early. I used to get up at 4:45. Quarter to five to load trucks at 5:30. Now that seems like I don't even know how. But yeah, it's not that I need to get up early. It's that I need to be aware. I could also even load a truck hungover because it was just physical work that just involves some counting. But having to have conversations with a bunch of people I don't know and make them feel comfortable in front of a camera is a totally different skill set that unfortunately is mental. So, or not unfortunately, but just it's a weekday anyways. You can also just buy a cheap Surly fork with the rivets. Yeah, even that wouldn't be a bad idea. The riv nut idea I would look into it, just do a little research if people have talked about it, if anyone's done it, if it's a safe thing to do. I think it would be. I wouldn't be overly worried about that. All right, guys. I didn't make any plans for the stream on Thursday, so I'm not sure. Maybe. So Thursday I'll be shooting right up with these 2 days of shooting right up until about 7. So I'd like to get back down to the basement and get that look set up, but I'm not sure if I'll be ready to do that. And again, like I keep saying, I want to do some of the Zoom interviews with some of you guys. That's another thing that I've seen in this Discord thing, which would be cool, because I saw someone else, and it might have been Terry, where if people go into one of the voice channels, he was just able to broadcast that, and then it was like a free-for-all conversation. And with the app, then you could just do that even from your phone. So something to look into, something to explore a little more. Like I said, me and Aaron tested the Zoom interview thing, but I haven't figured out the audio yet. I got the video to work and it looked great, but need to figure out the audio on that. So maybe next week we could start getting into that. But yeah, either way, I still plan to hop on Thursday night too. So yeah, with that, I will see you guys then. I won't, with shooting all these portraits, I won't have an upload till probably the weekend besides the live stream on Thursday. All right, guys. Peace. Oh my God, that's an emoji? I didn't know there was a emoji. All right.